So today, the Astro Chads are taking on Virgo. I'm personally very excited because I am a Virgo, birthday September 15th. Growing up, my best friend had the same exact birthday. So I've had a chance to study my fellow Virgos. And like Leo, this got me interested in astrology because some of the things that Virgos tend to be are reflected in me as a Virgo. Specifically, Virgo's the stomach. Now, I personally believe that a gut feeling isn't just confined to the present. I think a gut feeling can extend to the future, can extend to the past. We can talk about that. Virgos tend to be perfectionists. Virgos are an earth sign. Um, that's basically it. And there's a lot of things that I'm learning about Virgo that seem to make sense within my own personal life and my own personal studies. Virgo's like healing and like being touched, with
Mhm.
hands. That's a fact. A woman's hands are excellent in this Virgo's opinion. So we're gonna get into the very basics, but I want to get into like really get into Virgo because this is my sign, and I'm into it.
Mhm. For sure, man. Yeah, Virgo is, in the eyes of many, the most mysterious sign, but at the same time, on kind of on the superficial level, it's the most vanilla sign of the zodiac. So I, for one, have a hard time, describing Virgo with to the same extent that I do other signs, because it is such an elusive, and you could say mercurial sign, right? Virgo. So Virgo is the M. And we had Mario on my show last night from Symbolic Studies, and he pointed out that the M of Virgo differs from the M of Scorpio because the little tail on the extra leg of the M forms a fish, which shows that it is on an axis with Pisces, Virgo, Pisces. And this M symbol, being an inherently feminine and water related sound, mama, wawa, right? M and the W, that these are actually symbols for water. But Virgo is not a water sign, but it is a feminine sign. And Virgo gets its name from the same vir, having to do with virility, virility. The virgin, of course, is the virgin of the zodiac, but it does rule over virility as well. And you could say vril,
Love it.
vril. So Virgo also rules you could say, the vagina. Many signs, a couple different signs rule the female reproductive system, but the Virgo rules the lily. Virgo rules the lily, and there's a connection there in the sense that it rules hermetic wisdom. And some argue that Virgo is a sterile sign, but it is feminine and it does preside over virginity. Because you could argue that virginity is a state of sterility, is it not?
Mhm.
So,
So you've said in the past that Virgo is the virgin and the whore.
right. So Virgo is all about temperance, and their motto is analyze, Virgo. So they can be very temperate, right? They can be they can have great temperance, but they can be greatly intemperate, meaning they also have this not dualistic nature, like Gemini being ruled by Mercury, but they take that mercurial influence and it's more manifested as polarity. So Virgo, you could say, rules polarity. If Gemini rules duality, Virgo rules polarity. That's the difference there. So Virgo can rule extremes in a way, and the best way that this is represented is with the virgin or the whore, like you said. And Virgos, Madonna really personifies this Virgo whore archetype. No offense, sir. I mean, she'll tell you right to your face that
Yeah.
she's a W word, so that's not my fault. But she's actually Madonna's actually a Leo, but
Hmm.
she's a double Virgo, if I'm not mistaken. So she certainly has a strong Virgonian influence. I'm going to look her up real quick. Her sun is in Leo, August 16th, very close to Virgo, but her moon and ascendant are in Virgo. So she's
Okay.
very much personifies this dark Virgo archetype. And there's also, back to the name of this sign, Virgo being the virgin, it's also the verge of womanhood. This is the verge of the zodiac, meaning the sun is about to fall in Libra, Lucifer, the fallen angel, or the fallen angle, where the sun is now officially, fallen in the sky. That is fall. Well, right before that, we have the verge. So the sun is on the verge of taking over and relinquishing his duties to the night and to Venus and Saturn. So the morning star, this is where you get this negative terminology with Libra coming in, the fall of man, the fall, like I said, fallen angels, fall of man. That's Libra. Virgo's right on the cusp of that. Virgo's where things are, it's a mutable sign. So mutable signs rule the endings of things, right? So Gemini's a mutable sign, Virgo's a mutable sign, and mutable is a state of changeability, meaning they're on the verge of becoming something else. So Virgo takes its name from that influence. That Virgo is the last sign before the fall, before the big shift, and we get to the, I don't know if you could call them the nocturnal signs, but the signs where the sun has set. Because remember, the zodiac is not only a calendar of the year, but a clock of the day. So Virgo rules the time directly before sunset, Libra, the fall, when the sun is fallen. So Verge, you could also say that Virgos have a stroke of impatience to them. It's not that they're
Definitely.
It's not that they have a hyperactive impatience. It's a little bit more of a control or OCD oriented impatience, a compulsion of
Big
sorts.
time.
And Virgo is this ergo, they're urging and verge, they're always on the verge of doing something else. And they also like to go. So remember we talked about Cancer being this kind of elusive sign. Well, Virgo is very much like that too. They're not always on the go like an Aries, where they're just burning it at both ends, dashing around. It's more that they're elusive, they're on the go, meaning they're hard to pin down and spend a whole day with. Virgos like to
sort of isolate. They need it.
Yes.
I need that personally.
Absolutely.
I need to like recharge. If I go do something social, I need to go, isolate and sort of charge my batteries, if you will. But it's interesting about the go part, because I'm like known for that. At work, when it's time to go, I'm out. I'm out of there, man. I don't stay and
Mhm.
hang out. When I want to go somewhere, I go do it. When I want to get the fuck out, I'll get the fuck out. Like, I think Virgos are probably the most likely to pull the Irish exit, which means that you don't tell anybody, you just leave.
Mhm.
And here's the thing: my best friend growing up, and I ended up living with the guy for like a year in college. You could not mess with this guy's schedule. He would just
Mhm.
leave. He would just leave and be like, "Hey, we'd have to like track him. Hey, dude, where are you going?" He's like, "I gotta go work out. I gotta go get food." And you couldn't mess with this dude's schedule for nothing. It was set in stone. And him, like me, I like to. It's sort of something we haven't mentioned yet, but I want to get into sort of this cave, sort of this hermit stuff. And it's not like us Virgos dislike people, or we, it's not like we're not gregarious, because I can be the most gregarious guy ever, but it's sort of dependent on having that cave or that hermit time. Like we need it. And if a Virgo doesn't get that, like isolation, that hermit time, that cave time alone,
Mhm.
they're going to start freaking out. You know what I mean? Because it's
Mhm.
totally necessary.
Yeah, man. You hit the nail on the head, especially with the word hermit. Because, well, let's look at the word hermit. That's the most Virgonian word in the English dictionary, except for verge, perhaps. Verge and Virgo, same word, and virgin. But hermitic, every linguist, every etymologist in the world will tell you there's no link between hermit and hermetic, hermit, hermetic, even though both of them tend to dwell in caves and do their business privately. They're going to tell you there's no link between the two. But now, these are the same people who refuse astrology outright, so we won't blame them too hard. But basically, hermit comes from Hermes, which is another name for Mercury. Thoth. This is the planet of thought. So Thoth, Thoth, thought. I should have said this early on. Virgo rules the intellect. Okay, so if Gemini rules the intellect in terms of social capability and communication, Virgo rules the intellect in terms of education, meaning material information. Like, there's information, I'm going to absorb it by learning it. Like, this isn't the active learning. This isn't like philosophical learning or Socratic. It's literally ingesting information and downloading it. And this is what makes Virgo the best students by far. Virgos are the best test takers, studiers. They're the most studious. They're the most educated. And Virgos will always surprise you by how intelligent they are. And it might not be the quick fire or, out there spacey intelligence or higher learning or all these things, but they are without a doubt the most studious and common sense. Virgos have a superpower when it comes to common sense. That's really a compliment, because Virgos are the ones who are least likely to have their life fall apart. That being said, Charlie Sheen, John McAfee, and a couple others are Virgos, but their life didn't actually fall apart that much, did it? But
Right.
back
They
to
did.
her.
They went horror mode.
Right. Right.
They kept it together, but they sort of,
Yeah.
went to that other side.
So back to the hermit. That comes from Hermes, who is Thoth, thought, god of thought and thinking and education and learning. So like I said, Virgo rules school education, learning, especially early in life, up until you're a young adult or just an adult, really. And yeah, it's a smart sign without a doubt.
Yeah.
And that can be why they get kind of this vanilla reputation. Like I said, well, what happens when you combine educated people with a lot of common sense and a tendency to just go back and rely on themselves? Well, you might get vanilla people. You might get some more in the box types, is what Virgo has a reputation for. But they always make up for whatever they lack in intelligence, and they tend to be an agreeable sign overall. Not as agreeable as perhaps Taurus or Libra, but Virgo is a all around. The only issues people tend to have with them is there's a sensitivity to Virgo. Being on this axis with Pisces, they share in this extreme sense of service to others and an emotional servitude and emotional attachment to others. And Virgos are very much, they're like, like a virgin, not to be, lewd, crude, which I always am, but, this virgin, what would be the stereotype is that they're like overly clingy or,
Yeah, there's a lot I can speak on with that. I can speak on sort of the education aspect, the intelligence aspect. Definitely want to touch on sort of the sensitivity, if you will, because I mean, the thing about Virgos, right? They're known for being passive, right? But I think that passivity comes from a source of like genuinely not giving a shit about the small stuff. If it's like something small, something minor, some tiff, like a Virgo, like such as myself, might genuinely not care and just let something slide. But in regards to like, this is something I've observed personally within myself and also my best friend and other Virgos I've known in my life, that if you like, it takes a lot to like piss off a Virgo, but if you piss them off, it's for real. And it's like, it's not something they forget about. You know what I'm saying? It's like, they can like, him and I are sort of the same way. The guy I grew up with the same birthday, like we both like cut people off, but like, it's for good. Like there's oftentimes no recovery from that. So like, so some of the passivity comes from just sort of being do or die, if you will, in regards to relationships. And I think that definitely extends to relationships with women as well. Because for me personally, it's like, hey, we're getting married and you're having 5 kids, or I don't give a shit. Like that's literally it. Like it's like either you're the end all be all, right? It's me and you, babe, or see ya. Like okay, I'm not going to put any energy into it, like none. So I think a lot of Virgos are like that. And when it comes to studies, right? I've seen this within myself and with the other Virgos. It's like you turn it on or you turn it off. If they decide that they want to become studious, they get straight A's. Like I'm talking like A minus is almost unacceptable, like almost obsessive. I've seen it happen multiple times. But if they decide, hey, I don't like this teacher, I'm checking out of the subject, they could get a D. And like, you know what I'm saying? Like I've been there before where it's like, if I turn it on, like in English or something, and I'm into it, I'll get an A, right? But if it's like I turn it off, it's off. And I'm going to like cheat to get a C minus and not even care. You know what I'm saying? But it kind of, it's sort of circumstance, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, in terms of self-education, that's what I'm sort of into. I'm constantly reading. I'm into astrology now. So guess what? I'm getting the best astrology education in the game. And so are all the listeners with Astro-Chads. This is the best intro to astrology course available on the internet, as far as I'm concerned. So like it's certain in terms of education in terms of Virgo, we're doing it right now in a major way.
Oh yeah. And it's not only the hermit wanting to be alone by itself, but Virgo is also the hermetic. Hermit being ruled by Hermes. Hermetic does in fact get its origin from Hermes. So the hermetic arts, hermetic sciences. This goes back to Hermes, who, like I said, is Mercury, Odin, okay? Odin, Buddha, believe it or not, in one case, and Merlin, Mercury, Hermes, Thoth, Odin.
Whoa.
So
I didn't know that Merlin was Hermes, but that makes complete sense.
Merlin, Mercury. Yes, the teacher, the one who gives advice, the messenger. Now he's Odin and Merlin, kind of. Mercury gets older, kind of the farther north you go, but he's typically this younger, dashing messenger god. And you know, Gemini, Mercury rules messes, right? Messenger, Messiah, messy. And this is also because Virgo rules medicine, medi. So all messy, messenger, medi, medical, midway, medium. Okay, Virgo's very much like a medium sign. Virgos tend not to be the hugest people, you know, or the smallest. Virgo's very much like a medium, and that's their position in the zodiac as well. And like I said, vanilla, kind of this vanilla reputation. And then medical, medium. You go on and
Media.
on.
You could throw media in there, maybe.
Media, of course. That's a little bit more towards the Gemini, but these are ruled by Mercury. Med, mess. So then you also go to, and that comes from hermetic, medical, right? Or meticulous, hermetic. So Hermes rules Virgo, and Hermes rules Gemini. So Gemini is more the communication. Virgo gets the medicine, and it's all about the body. So Virgo rules, let me pull up a list.
In terms of body part, though, it rules the stomach, right?
Yes, so Virgo rules the lower abdomen, so basically below the chest, the digestive system. Yes, that's Virgo.
Which is really interesting, man, because I want to propose a theory to you. I think that Virgos might be the best at sort of predicting the future in a sense. I think they might be the most intuitive in terms of a gut feeling, right? Because I operate off instinct quite a bit, off gut feeling quite a bit. And I think that, you know, people in my personal life know that like I'm known for like predicting things. Like I'm known for like telling you guys like, hey, this is going to be hot. Like you might not see it now, but I see it. This is going to be hot shit in the future. And I've done it on my own YouTube channel. There's people I've interviewed where it's like 4 or 5 years in advance, but then they're superstars, right? So it's like I'm known for that. So my theory is that Virgos being in touch with their gut, if they have good gut health, can make decisions that seem incredible, you know, like 4 or 5 years later. people don't really get it at the time, but like basically my theory is that the gut feeling isn't confined to the present. I think it can be extended to the future as well. So that's sort of my theory on Virgos in the stomach.
Yeah, that's a great point. It's the gut feeling. Some other signs kind of rule premonitions in their own way, but Virgo would not be this mental picture. It would be the gut feeling, feeling it in your body in a material way. That's very Virgo. Now, I'd also to add to explain how the hermit is known for going into his cave. The hermetic might have to retreat from public life in order to accomplish much of his work. So, therefore, those words are the same. And Virgo rules caves. Now, the digestive tract, the stomach, the bowels, what are they if not a type of cave?
Right.
So, this cave network having to do with digestion, Virgo rules this part of nature as well. Caves in nature as within man in the bowels. So, Virgo rules a lot of those gut feelings without a doubt. Now, to display this boring, and Virgo can be a bit boring
Oh, big
because
time. Yeah, I want
because
to. Yeah,
because they're the sign that rules boring, like
yeah,
cave, like boring a hole into the earth.
yeah.
Boring, boring. And how else do we know that they are have to do with under, subterranean things? Well, you have Virgo, and that's where the gopher gets its name,
Hmm.
digging underneath the ground, right? And then, like I said, Virgo's also all about being ergonomic,
Hmm.
ergonomic,
I forget what that means. What does that mean? Ergonomic.
relating to or designed for efficiency and comfort in the working environment. Hello,
Wow.
Virgo rules service and occupation.
Yeah.
So Taurus rules like earned income, but Virgo rules occupation. So that doesn't have to be a job and making
Yeah.
money. It can be a form of service, what you're doing all day, how you're occupied. So service, education. If you're a student, that's your Virgonian sphere. That's Virgonian um, realm of life existence. If you're a student, if you're working, if you're a servant to somebody else, if you're in any way subservient, if you're doing menial tasks, these things are related to Virgo. Virgo is all about service. Virgo is the midway point, and then it's also the maid and the midwife, maid. So Virgo rules tending to the needs of others, right?
Interesting. I
It's
have a
all about
really, I have a,
service.
yeah, I have a really interesting thought because I've been thinking about that since you said that a few weeks ago. I think that the service aspect of Virgo can extend to concepts or ideas or perhaps even masses of people, right? So like let's say if there was a Virgo king hypothetically, he would want to serve his people, which is sort of the role of the benevolent king, right? And I want to talk about um the cave thing and the boring thing because it's so true, man. And it ties in a little bit with a Virgo's time and their schedule. So, an ideal weekend for me would be like waking up, reading a book, start reading a bit, go to my computer, start working on writing a book. And people would say, "Oh my God, that's what you do on a weekend? That's so boring. That's so lame." But meanwhile, during the week, I'm looking forward to it so much because that to
Mhm.
me is the ultimate weekend by myself in my own studies in a cave. Like people don't understand that. Like I look forward to that so much. You know what I'm saying? And I get it. I understand why that sounds super lame to a lot of people. Like, oh my God, that sounds like torture. Why would you do that? But meanwhile, I could not be more excited about it. I map out my entire weekend. Like on Monday evening, I'm starting, like I'm in my schedule working out the whole thing. You know what I mean? So yeah, just the cave and the boring stuff. It's just like to other signs or people or personalities, it's so boring. But to me, it's so exciting. Like I can't wait for this weekend.
Yeah, Virgo's mercurial, and they're capable of Michael Jackson was a Virgo. So
I did not know that. Wow.
this also shows how much of control freaks they can be.
Yep.
Meaning they like to see every single moving piece and know it's going exactly where it needs to go. no questions asked. Even if there's a whole 20-person band, they're going to be playing that instrument through every single person. So Virgos have a hard time stepping into the limelight, like this lead singer type. So you'll rarely find lead singers, Virgos. Of course, there's a ton of them because every band needs a lead singer, but they don't get this same like rock star center of attention, um, um, attention just right off the bat. They have to very much labor for it. Virgo tend not to have one talent dominate their life, if that makes sense. Whereas
Hmm.
some other signs, like a fire sign, for example, might have their life dominated by one talent. That's a common theme. And they'll take that one talent to the ends of the earth and burn themselves out. And Virgo is much more, like I said, in the box. They're still capable of anything, of great heights, but their path of getting there almost always seems to be more thought out and
Yeah.
safe and secure. They're all about Virgo is all about security as well, in a
Well, that
sense.
we have to think it out. We just have to. I want to talk about the cave for a sec because I think the cave sort of applies to the mercurial nature of a Virgo because we're trying to find the underlying surface of reality. So I have found
Hmm.
that Virgos, I've known a lot in my life, and they're much more open-minded to like conspiracy theories and things like that because they want to know what's going on beneath the surface, right?
Well, dude, surface is the perfect word. That's a Virgonian word. That's the axis of Virgo and Pisces. Okay, surface, service, serve us. Okay, does that make sense? So the surface can be beneath the surface. That's a cave, or that's the ocean. Virgo or Pisces.
Surf
These
us.
these are the two signs having to do with service to others.
Okay.
Virgo and Pisces, and they're on the same axis, which means they're directly across from each other. So yeah,
That's
but
interesting, man.
surface meaning under the surface, like the cave.
Yeah,
Very very Virgonian word. Yeah.
very cool. So
Also, Virgo is like go ver rearranged. I don't know if I should have illustrated that better. Virgo.
yeah.
Take the ver, put it behind the go. Go ver. That's a gopher going
Oh,
under the.
so is that the animal of Virgo? Because I was just about to ask. I don't know what.
Sure, yeah. So Virgo is a tough one
Okay.
because it's typically depicted as a virgin, okay, or just the symbol itself. So people kind of shy away from placing an animal as Virgo. That being said, I'm going to name a few that I think are universal enough to satisfy the characteristics of Virgo. Deer. There's no deer in the zodiac, okay, like a doe or a buck. So I would place that on Virgo, right? With
Yeah.
the earth, that makes sense to me. With the earth signs, you have bovine animals being Taurus. Okay, then you have goats being Capricorn. You have rams being Aries. Well, where's the deer? Deers are pretty much universal around the earth, which I think is the biggest qualification for being a zodiacal animal, is it has to be universal on every continent. So deer, Virgo is very much a deer sign. They're endearing. They like to write, very studious. So dear, they're addressing a letter, right? Dear. That's
Huh.
so Virgo is you'd have to me, I place deer. And then I would have to say a gopher, some type of burrowing mammal, subterranean mammal. And then I would also place a bird of some sort, meaning either a ibis, wading bird, some type of mercurial bird, perhaps a
Mhm.
stork, like we were describing with Gemini earlier. There's a fine line between Gemini and Virgo. They both have a almost entirely mercurial influence, Mercurian influence. So they're very much the same sign, differentiated in subtle ways. And Virgo, to me, gopher, deer, and then a stork, because Virgo does preside over fertility and virility and the origin of children. or at least the upbringing of children, and the fact that Virgo rules midwives, right, and nursing. So Virgo rules nursing.
Wow.
Virgo is the nurse of the zodiac. I've been to hospitals twice in the last 5 years or something, or walk-in clinics, and my nurses have been Virgos, right?
Wow.
And I think one of them was named Meadow or something, like very Virgonian. And so they're all about service, all about it. And they like fixing things mechanical. They have a very mechanical mind, Virgo, and getting into meticulous, meticulous, like I said, medical mind. But yeah, so the animals also, I'm gonna have to say, it could also be the bear.
Wow.
The deer and the bear,
Yeah.
I would place as kind of this totemic axis on Virgo. Would be the beer and the dare. Sorry, fuck. So high. The bear.
Well,
and
maybe you were
the
thinking
deer.
beer because of wheat. There's some sort of wheat association, right?
Yes, so Virgo's the harvest time.
Yeah.
Virgo is the sign of harvest, and it is, the house of bread, the house of wheat, Bethlehem, right? Bethlehem.
Yeah.
So that's associated with Virgo and being born of the Virgin in Bethlehem. I'm not sure where he was born in Bethlehem, right?
I believe
Virgin,
so.
born, so not born in Bethlehem, but born of Bethlehem, born of a virgin, if that makes sense. And that's the house of bread also is
Wow.
the translation there. But Virgo rules that wheat and also
Yeah, it's you who said that wheat is good for the brain. So that's another mercurial tie-in, right? Or you said grains for the brain.
Yeah,
Right?
and also how connection. Yes, yes, that's the food of intelligence. I mean, we can have a whole nutrition discussion another time. I don't want to get people riled up, but whether you like it or not, the food of intelligence, and quite literally conquering with the mind, is grains, carbs, gluten, good old wheat, the real stuff. Okay, the original, the true stuff. That is brain food. Grain, brain. Okay, wheat power, everybody. Wheat power.
Very cool. So,
Wheat power.
so the coolest Virgo athlete, in my opinion, and we talked about this a
Oh,
little bit on the
can
Robert
I
Phoenix show. Go ahead. Yep.
can I tag one more onto that before we get
Absolutely.
away from the wheat?
Yeah.
What's something that you might be afraid of or worried about if you're a farmer or if you're growing wheat, right? If you're growing
Drought.
grains or hay, ergot.
Huh.
Ergot rot. It's a type
Oh,
of
okay.
like fungus or bacteria. It's a what is it? Let me look it up. It's an infection. I don't know what type of infection. It's a poisoning. And ergot, like I said, ergo, okay, being ergonomic,
Hmm.
having to do with efficiency in the workplace. Ergot also gets its name from Virgo. Okay. That's where you get ergot. So Virgo rules wheat. Boom. Case closed.
Very nice. So my favorite, probably Virgo athlete would have to be Dan Marino of the Florida
Mhm.
Dolphins. It was
Mhm.
interesting last night. You in Symbolic Studies, you were talking about Finn and how Finn sort of represents hands as well. But I thought about how related to Pisces the Miami Dolphins just name, everything about it really is, you
Mhm.
know?
It's down at the foot of America too. Down
Yeah.
at the finale, the finish line.
Yeah. But what's interesting about Dan Marino, we share the same birthday, but also he was like perfect in his passes and he was precise. You know
Mhm.
what I'm saying? So I've been thinking about
Meticulous.
that. Yeah. Obsessive, sort of. It
Mhm.
can be obsessive. Like,
Also pretty by the book, right?
mhm.
Virgo's very by the book. They'll just by the rules, beat you fair and
Yeah.
square.
Yeah. I mean, me personally, I like to follow the rules because I find it to be less stressful. You know what I'm saying? So I've been wondering about that. I used to think that was like a British thing, something people of British ancestry, maybe they just like to follow the rules. But I'm kind of realizing, yeah, maybe it's more of a Virgo thing.
It's a Virgo thing. Virgos it's excruciating for them to break the rules or have to break the rules. It makes it very uncomfortable.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Unsettling.
I was arrested once in my life for like possession of pot and alcohol when I was like 17. That
Nice.
was enough for me, man. After that, I've been like a super litigious person. I just don't like it, you know? I like to do things by the book, if you will, you know, and also work on books, read books, sort of a book oriented sign. I mean,
Mhm.
it's conducive to study, right? So what would be the opposite of a Virgo? Like what's somebody who
Well,
dislikes caves? Go ahead.
do
Sorry.
you know why Virgo's by the book?
Why is that?
Because Libra rules books and libraries and Libros, which are books, and Virgo is by the book, the next sign
Oh my God,
of,
that's
of
wicked funny, dude.
right by the book.
That's so funny.
Okay. Yeah, when you're a goody two shoes, you're not in the book, you're by the book, right? You're not reading the
Right.
book, you're by the book. So that's Virgo, the
Yeah.
sign right before the sign that rules books. And yeah. Also
Virgo.
Virgo very much rules writing.
Okay.
Okay.
Very cool.
Especially on paper. Because Gemini, Mercury rules communication and learning,
Mhm.
but Gemini is a speech aspect. So Virgo is the material knowledge aspect, meaning writing it down and making it material. Then, once you have a book, that is ruled by Libra. The finishing process of having a book and reading books to look.
That's crazy.
Lucifer, look, that's Libra. We're going to get into that next
Yeah.
episode, but by the book.
That's crazy that you said that, man, because at work, right? If I have to get a bunch of materials, get a bunch of construction supplies, whatever the case may be, I always write it down. I write it down because I tell people like, "Hey, if I write this down, it's gold. There's no
Mhm,
chance I fuck up. There's no chance I forget. I'm going to write it down, period."
mhm,
And I just like don't understand how people don't do that. But I didn't even know that that was specifically Virgo, was to write it down specifically and materialize. Sort of I love writing notes. I'm writing notes constantly. I'm materializing my thoughts
mhm.
and then I sort of organize them. So my writing process is like I go about my week, I go about my day, do my errands, whatever, but I'm constantly writing in my iPhone. At the end of the day, I email those notes to myself. And during the weekend, I organize all those different notes and they become Word documents that become, you know, blogs that become books, whatever the case may be. But yeah, Jesus, sort of turning your thoughts into material is like sort of the definition of Mercury, almost, if you will.
A Virgo,
Sort
yeah.
of. Yeah.
A Virgo,
Very
because
cool.
Thoth, who's Mercury,
Yeah.
rules thoughts.
Mhm.
And then Virgo, being the sign ruled by Mercury, takes that influence of thought, intellect, and materializes it through the hands, right? Touch back into knowledge. So into writing, knowledge, etc.
By the book, right by Libra. That is so
Hmm.
funny. So are there any other celebrities that come to mind with the Virgo sign?
So yeah, Richard Gere,
Okay.
very just like so. Number one, women just like Taurus. Women love Virgo. Women feel very safe with Virgo. Virgo's not like the bad boy archetype for them. Virgo's more this security and charm, but like kind of earth signs just have this a charm, and women feel safe with them. And I'll say that that kind of ties back to the vanilla ness is they
Yeah.
don't, they're just like a safe option, not that that's takes away from them or anything. But here, let me look up Richard Gere.
Oh, Richard Gere, yeah. He's kind of like a boomer at this point, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I'll pull up a list of more recent people. But Richard Gere, total Virgo. Charlie Sheen, total Virgo. He's this virgin whore, uh, you know, um,
So Virgo's got
uh,
to watch out when they go whore mode. You know what I'm saying?
yes.
They're
That,
better
that,
in the like when they're in the virgin mode, they're at their best, it seems. But when they go whore mode, it can get pretty diabolical, it seems.
yes, yeah. Virgo likes stability. They're an earth sign. They want to stay rooted. Virgo is a sign that likes plants and things like that too, and they want to stay rooted.
Hmm.
But if they get into that, if we're calling it whore mode, if they
Yeah.
get into that mode, it's very
Yeah.
unstable for them, and they can go
Right.
on a crash course. But they're the best at it than anybody. For
Yep.
example, go look at Charlie Sheen when his life was falling apart and he's burning up like a asteroid, like a
Yeah.
meteor, just burning, destroying everything around him, whatever. That stuff that was his best part of his career.
Right.
That's his best comedic genius. His best everything came out of him at that moment. And
Right.
the depths of what he had to show the world when he had nothing to hold back was nothing short of extraordinary. So,
So yeah,
then,
maybe they can.
and,
I mean, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
and they're healers, so they can piece it all back together and act like nothing
Wow.
happened. They can put it all back together and make you, not even remember it happened. But yeah, you were gonna say?
I mean, what you're saying is valid, man, because like I've gone horror mode before, but I've recovered. You know what I'm saying? And then, but it's almost as if Virgos sometimes can be at their absolute best when they go the other way because
Hmm.
they can recover. And also, there's probably a lot in the cave that they can only get out to the world if they go full Charlie Sheen once in a while.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So Virgos can also have this kind of resting bitch face. So we'll go through some Virgos here. Beyonce,
Wow.
Total Virgo.
Wow.
Zendaya. Cameron Diaz is the stereotypical Virgo. For me, her look. Virgos have this wide, thin mouth, long, wide mouth with thin lips that's very long across the face, and she's very emblematic of that. And I'm going to point out some other ones here. But Virgo tends to have a kind of a not a wide head, but a wider face. The head
I have
can
a
be
big
long.
head. I forget what my hat size is. It's like 7.5. And it represented like a huge advantage in football because I would hit like head first
Oh yeah.
sometimes. But yeah, that's interesting, man. The wide mouth thing, like I'm looking at myself as you say that, and I'm like, whoa, valid.
Hmm.
You know what I
Oh,
mean?
well, Sagittarius is the small mouth, like the horse,
Wow.
like long. So I'm like that. A lot of Sages are like that, small mouth. But also we'll get into Sag another time. But
Yeah.
Virgo, can have this, like we were saying with Leo. Virgos can have kind of have a vanilla face, meaning their nose isn't going to be super long. Their eyes aren't going to be super pronounced or furrowed. They have very like a temperate face, and not as well balanced as Libra. Libra has the most balanced kind of aesthetic face. What's the word I'm looking for? Symmetrical. Libra's all about symmetry, but Virgo also, you'll find this kind of borderline featureless face where it's
Huh.
unremarkable, not meaning not a good face, but
Yeah, I don't know. The Virgos I know are like the women and the men are like in the
I'm not.
stud
Well, here,
category.
let me say this. This is nothing indicating a lack of beauty. I'm saying that there's no one feature of the face that is dominant.
Okay.
Like me, like I have a long nose or like a long face.
Yeah,
Virgo is more so the ears are normal size.
you're
The
right.
the eyes are normal size. The
Yep.
nose is normal size. The mouth is normal size. So that combination can arrive at a beautiful face or a not great looking face. But I'm saying that they're not like dominated by one feature.
Yep.
Like I'm saying with Aries, they're all in the forehead.
Hmm.
Virgo being in the middle of the zodiac is a midway point, meaning
Yeah.
the
Dude,
upper.
you're right. Cause I visualize 5 Virgos in my head and there's no outstanding features facially. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? It's all sort of
yes,
balanced in a sense.
yes, because they're the closest sign. We're getting real close to the most balanced sign facially, which is Libra, which is where you get the most like models because of their picturesque face. Virgo is very close to that. Now, Virgo, and yeah, Virgo, women can be beautiful. Virgo men tend to have this more plain. Just go look up. I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but go look up what women say about Virgo men, and it's just like a lack of thrill, if that makes sense, or like just jarring like characteristics. They don't fit the bad boy narrative as much. But like I said, that's a good thing. Virgos are going to get married way earlier than or to someone more worthy than the other signs, if that makes sense.
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, I think that Virgos can do the bad boy thing when they're in horror mode, as I say,
Oh
and they
yeah.
might do it. That's how they do it. But like
But look at.
it depends what side they're on, what side they're doing, what phase of life they're in. You know what I'm saying? Because if they're
Mhm.
in like a sort of virgin phase of life, they're more likely to get married, do the relationship thing. You know what I mean? But if they're in a Charlie Sheen horror mode, they might be sort of a badass, but like have no idea because they're on
Mhm.
this roller coaster. You know what I mean?
He had two. or 3 girlfriends when he was going through like that whole news
Yeah.
attention, like media attention
Yeah.
phase of his life. So so, Virgos are lady killers, but it's not, Virgos work for what they have, if that makes sense. They don't have things handed to them like Leos. Is that a better way of expressing all that? Virgos very much like in the trenches as a sign, in the guts, down, boots on the ground.
So a Virgo being an earth sign and wanting to be rooted, does that mean sometimes they're reluctant to change, or they love being in a pattern, they love being in a rhythm, they love routine?
Yeah, so they're a mutable sign, so they're adaptable, very adaptable, and they can get put into a situation and work well off of what's given to them. But resistant to change, I would say yes. This just goes back to the vanilla kind of theme, is that they're hesitant to step outside of the box. But when they're inside the box, they do it better than anybody. They play the game better than anybody. They learn the rules, they take the test, and they do better than anybody. They're just not the sign that might tear up the test and walk out of class, and say, "Screw you, miss,"
Hmm.
unless they're burning out like a cannonball, like we're saying.
Yeah, I've walked out of college classes before, like 2 or 3 times. You know what I'm saying? But that's just because the fucking professor really pissed me off. And then
Mhm.
once they piss me off, it's like it's never gonna be cool again. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
So there was
Shut
this
up,
one
man.
professor. I said that global warming was bullshit, and then he like made a big deal about it, like in front of the entire class. Okay, like there's like 40 people in his class, but then I got an A in his class. You know what I'm saying? Because it was fucking easy. It was like economics. It was like an easy economics class. So I conflicted with professors quite a bit, but it's only because we weren't vibing like at all. So what else do we want to get into here? Physique, athleticism, what does it rule?
I'll touch on athleticism. Virgo rules health. Virgo rules nutrition, especially.
Wow.
Virgo is the sign of digestion and therefore nutrition. So Leo's the sign of like leisurely exercise. Virgo is exercise in the pursuit of health and well-being. And you could say that Virgo rules like static exercise, things like that.
What is
But
static exercise exactly?
just like, not running,
Okay.
not jumping. It's basically less movement. So, yoga, weightlifting, things like that. We are more just standing still, not running
Okay.
around. That's more, Leo rules exercise where you're jumping, climbing, balancing, aerobic, things like that. And
Yeah.
aerobic, that goes back to Aries. I don't know if we mentioned that early on, but Aries is like this nimble, quick kid climbing trees, jumping around, very nimble.
It's
But
interesting you
then,
said nutrition because I'm like obsessed with it. Other Virgos I know, they're very conscientious of what they eat. They want to get the best possible nutrition they can.
oh yeah, Virgo's all about that. And also, they rule medicine, like we said. So nurses, but doctors can also, Virgo also rules being a doctor. It's all about the pursuit of health, especially through nutrition and hands-on practice.
Wow.
So hands-on medicine.
That's incredible,
Yeah.
dude. Like that's describing me because I choose, the work I do because it is hands-on, because it is exercise. And then after work, I get the best nutrition I can. So
Mhm.
that's fascinating, man. That's why I'm into astrology now. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like when you describe something like that, it perfectly applies to my day and my sign. This has opened my ears and sort of my brain toward astrology. And it's only been a year, I'm only a year into it.
Mhm.
So
Shell yeah, man.
what I said about astrology and in general, it is a form of literacy. And I feel like for a majority of my life, I've been sort of astrologically, I'll figure out how to say that word.
Astrologically illiterate.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm trying to say. So, and it feels good sort of gaining this knowledge because I wouldn't describe it as precise, but I would describe it as accurate. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Some of these sort of stereotypes, right, about these certain signs don't apply to everybody, but they tend to, right?
And remember, we're always talking about the sign itself. The sign itself can't fully represent every single person born under it. You're a Virgo, but you're also part Libra, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
You're also part. Your moon is in
Leo.
Leo, right? Sorry, we were talking yesterday. So you have two active signs to offset your Virgonian influence. So
Wow.
Libra Libra is all about balance. Libra is the book guy. Libra is about aesthetics. Libra is about law and justice. Leo is all about performance, enhancement, excellence, being the best, considering yourself a king. I mean, there's nothing more Leo than that. So you're very much, you absorb those characteristics as well, and you put those into your persona. Those are your persona. Those are your personality. There's nothing to do there, actually. But you're also a Virgo. You're 75%. If not, I always say you're a majority, 2/3 of you, 75%, a majority of you. Female, male, born at night, born during the day, is your sun sign. The sun dominates all life on the planet, all activity, all electricity, all radiation. You get it. The moon, if you're born at night, the moon will have a greater influence. If you're born early at morning, when the sun is close to the ascendant, you might have a larger influence from your ascendant. Those are the top 3 in astrology: where the sun is, where the moon is, and your ascendant. So you might have a combination of those 3 in your personality. That can't detract from what we're saying about one sign in particular. Because when we're describing Virgo, Virgo does not have an ascendant, or Virgo does not have any extra factors interfering. When we're talking about Virgo, we're talking about those qualities unhindered, uninhibited. A lot of people get in this mindset where when they're hearing a sign described, they'll be quick to say, well, I'm not like that. Well, I'm not like that. And that's good, because they're pointing out where their chart differentiates them. How exciting would astrology be if there's only 12 archetypes?
Right.
There's only
Yeah.
12 opportunities. And guess what? Even if you time 12 times 12, 144, that would still be really boring if there's only the combination of sun and moon. But guess what? We have 12 times 12 times 12. And you could take that list a hell of a lot farther if you consider all the planets and the house placements. So there is no restrictive nature of astrology where you're stuck into one archetype. But I hope that explains how.
Yeah. It did, in a sense, in a big way, though. When you mentioned 12 times 12 times 12, a lot of people get intimidated and they sort of get dejected, if you will, because they hear people talking about, Mercury's in Sagittarius. And a lot of the layman people are like, yo, what the fuck does that mean? Right? You know what I'm saying? But it's interesting because when you mention the 12 by 12 by 12, there's all these different combinations. But if you know the numbers, right? If you know the angles, you can understand all those different combinations.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Virgo rules numbers in a sense. Remember we were saying nurses, nurseries, so the tending of children and the tending of wounded people, things like that. But numbers. Virgo rules numbers in the sense of counting, okay, but also numbing agents like a nurse would administer. So numbing, numbers, right? That's why there's a B in numbing agents. So that's a Virgonian thing as well.
Well, that tells me, right, if Virgo rules numbing agents, Virgo's got to watch out for addictions in terms of, opiates, cocaine, anything.
See, this axis between Pisces and Virgo is very strong. So Pisces rules vice. So service to others, service.
Oh, wow.
Pisces,
or like you're serving a customer.
Yes, serving drugs, exactly. So Pisces is more like the addiction issues. Virgo is medicine, pharmacopoeial, pharmaceuticals. Pisces is more the deep end, like Pisces, the depth, the deep end of drugs and substances. Virgo is the by the book medical application of certain substances.
Wow.
That's Virgo. Like a hospital.
Yeah. That's interesting because like I used to be so into pot, right? I used to be a big pot guy, right? But I was using it because I was like, okay, this is medically beneficial. You know what I'm saying? So, or it's mercurial. That's why I was so into it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're into pot.
Well, I don't really smoke anymore, but I used to be super into it. What else we have? Okay, clothing style. I could touch on that. The plain Jane aspect of, because it's true. The plain. Okay, so Virgo clothing style is boring. Okay, I'll give you a great example. I love to wear collared short sleeve shirts with no writing on them, just like a little logo. My favorite shirts are actually Greg Norman polos, which are very popular with baby boomer golfers, but I think they're awesome. Okay. A Virgo, once they pick a style, once they pick a brand, they're going to stick with it. And they're going to keep it somewhat plain Jane. I like to wear the same stuff, and I wear it into the ground. essentially.
Now, someone who reminds me of that, who's not quite a Virgo, but is very close and is Virgonian, Kirk Cousins. He's August 19th.
Okay.
He's world famous for having like this just dad
Yeah.
aesthetic, right? Like his wife dresses him, right? They just said that in the new quarterback documentary or whatever. And he's close enough to where he's very Virgonian, August 19th. But haven't looked at his chart much, but look at Michael Jackson, look at on stage, they're all flashy, but who else is a Virgo? Charlie Sheen, just the way he dresses is
He dresses like he's going bowling. You know what I
exactly
mean?
right. Shout out Robert Phoenix,
Oh my
classic
God! Shout out
Virgo.
Robert Phoenix. Well,
Robert
it's
Phoenix, total Virgo.
oh he is.
I've always said he's like a total. He reminds me of like Charlie Sheen and Two and a Half Men. That's how he dresses a little bit, and he's got like the swagger, like bad boy
He's got the
attitude
hair like Charlie.
towards astrology. He's like the Charlie Sheen of like astrology.
That's epic. And
Not
yeah, that's
only in the good
amazing.
ways.
That's cool because I thought of him last night actually because he said Pisces shouldn't drink. He replied to somebody on Twitter and said that. And I didn't
Mhm.
exactly know what he meant by it, but now you clarified it with the whole deep end thing and sort of this Pisces Virgo connect in a sense.
Yeah, Virgos can be drinkers. Virgos can be drinkers. There's a connection between Virgo and the kidneys, right?
Okay.
Kids, right? Like taking care of children. And knee is Capricorn, but the kneecaps, Capricorn rules the knees. But kidneys, the smaller knees, the two twins, there's
Yeah.
definitely a mercurial, a Geminian, or a Virgonian influence over the kidneys,
Yeah.
especially their significance when it comes to nutrition and filtering things out and liquids. And there's a connection between drinking and Virgos. So Virgos have to be careful with
I see
drinking
that,
as
man.
well.
I think Virgos are susceptible to alcoholism. And I
Yes.
think there's a connect there with wine, right? Is there some sort of Dionysian connection with Virgo and wine?
Mhm. Well, Virgo is the whiniest sign of the zodiac.
Okay.
There.
Okay. They can be. I mean, I will admit, and geez, now that I think about it, other Virgos I know in my life, if they're not within their pattern, if they're off schedule, they're gonna start bitching. Or if you fucking like interfere with their schedule, interfere with their ability to go, that's when
Mhm.
I think the whining comes out for sure.
Oh yeah, Virgos can cry. They're quick to cry as well. Virgos
Virgo
like
chicks, yes.
to tear.
Well, I will admit that. Okay, when I
Virgo
cry,
chicks.
Virgo chicks definitely, but like when I cry, it's a fucking waterfall. It's not like going to be a casual thing. You know what I mean? The astro-etymology, I think you went over. The planet you went over pretty thoroughly. It's pretty much just Mercury, it
Mhm.
seems. Um,
Mhm.
Compatibility dating, I could talk about that. Clothing style, physique, athleticism, career, physiognomy, you've touched on. It's interesting. It's like you kind of have this all mapped out when you go over it and you kind of hit all of these points we discussed. Very cool. So next we got Libra. Are you excited for Libra? But more so, are you excited for your own sign, Sagittarius?
Yeah, I'm certainly gonna have a lot to say about Sagittarius, but this is where, to me, this zodiac gets the most interesting. Gets into the fall, where the darkness starts encroaching. Libra is the sign of temptation and
Wow.
fall, darkness. Scorpio is a sign of death and just obscenity, obscurity, and then obsidian. Okay, obsolescence.
Is Halloween in Libra?
Halloween is in Scorpio, the sign
Oh,
of
wow.
sex, death, and
Yeah. Oh, that
not
makes perfect
yes.
sense now. Okay.
So Libra is more the allure of temptation. Scorpio also rules temptation for sure. Virgo is more the allure, the romance, the aesthetic, the seduction. And then Scorpio is very much the act, approaching the nitty gritty, the actual act of lust and things like that. And then Sagittarius is, well, it's kind of the real nitty gritty of the baby making in a genetic sense. The Milky Way, I'll just say that. Sagittarius rules the Milky Way, right? So the center of the universe. The Milky Way is the centaur center of the universe. And then you get to Capricorn, and things start to turn around, and the sun takes a step back into life and is reborn or born, right?
Exciting times, man. I'm excited for this period of the zodiac as well. It's just interesting for me because the biggest things in my chart: Virgo, Libra, Leo, and it's like it's always been my favorite time of the year. So it's astrology has helped me conceptualize my own life and the lives of others. Astro-Chads signing off. We'll see you in Libra.
Shalom, man. Good chat.